Master is talking about his personal life, especially talking about the part of it that almost took him down.
At 64, Jean-Claude Van Damme finally speaks up and confirms the rumors, but not in the way most expected. Known as the muscles from Brussels, Van Damme's career has been marked by dizzying highs, crushing lows, and a personal life that has kept fans guessing for decades. But during a rare moment of candor, he declared, "I'm exposing her now." The words landed with force, sending speculation into overdrive.
This woman has been with me for years. When I was nobody, when I was driving taxi and I stole food in the market because I didn't have any money.
Was he
At 64, Jean-Claude Van Damme, the iconic action star, is finally speaking out about the parts of his life that nearly destroyed him. Known as the muscles from Brussels, Van Damme's career has been marked by staggering highs and crushing lows. For decades, fans have been captivated by his on-screen persona. Tough, relentless, and larger than life. Yet, behind the action-packed movies and grueling fight scenes lies a far more complex individual. The image of Van Damme as a Hollywood hero, invincible and indomitable, doesn't tell the whole story. His journey to stardom was anything but easy, and as he now reveals in a rare moment of candidness, the struggle behind the scenes was far more intense than anyone could have imagined. In a stunning and frank admission, Jean-Claude Van Damme finally addresses the rumors that have swirled around him for years, confirming parts of them that many fans had long suspected. In a revealing interview, he said, "I'm exposing her now," a statement that instantly grabbed attention and sent shockwaves through the media. But the real question on everyone's mind is, who is he talking about? Could it be his wife, Gladys Portugues, the woman who stood by his side through thick and thin? Or is he referring to some secret woman from his past, a relationship hidden from the public eye? Or is it, perhaps, a confession about the industry itself, the very one that propelled him into the global spotlight? As the muscles from Brussels opens up about his darkest moments, his words resonate with power. "She was with me when I was nobody," he explains. "Back when I was driving a taxi and stealing food because I didn't have any money. She was there when I had nothing." For the first time, Van Damme peels back the layers of his public persona to expose the man beneath, vulnerable, human, and far from invincible. For decades, his fans have known the heroic character on screen, an unstoppable force of nature who can take on an army, defeat foes in epic martial arts battles, and perform incredible physical feats. But Van Damme's real life has been shaped by struggles that could have easily derailed his career. Fame, addiction, divorce, and personal demons have often overshadowed his achievements. Now, at 64, he is choosing to address these truths head-on, offering a glimpse into the complicated life of a man who has been defined by both his triumphs and his flaws. The world first got to know Jean-Claude Van Damme in the 1980s. He was a young martial artist with a dream that would see him rise from the streets of Brussels to become a global action star. Born Jean-Claude Camille Francois van Varenberg on October 18, 1960, in Brussels, Belgium, he wasn't born into fame or wealth. He was raised in a modest household. But his passion for martial arts would eventually lead him on a path that would change his life forever. At just 10 years old, Van Damme was introduced to the discipline of martial arts. Training under the watchful eye of a local instructor, he began with Shotokan karate, and by the age of 18, he had already earned his black belt. But that was just the beginning of his martial arts journey. Driven by an insatiable desire to push his limits, Van Damme expanded his repertoire, learning Taekwondo and Muay Thai. These experiences in various combat sports shaped not just his fighting style, but also his mental toughness. By the late 1970s, Van Damme was competing in kickboxing, where his record stands at an impressive 18 wins, 17 of them by knockout. He wasn't just a fighter in name. His combat skills were honed in the ring, not the choreographed studio settings of Hollywood. But martial arts weren't the only avenue Van Damme pursued. In an unusual move for a fighter, he also took up ballet for 5 years, an experience that, while surprising some, played a key role in shaping his physicality. The combination of ballet and martial arts gave him an edge that would become a signature feature of his on-screen fighting style, fluidity, grace, and power in every move. Alongside his martial arts training, Van Damme also embraced bodybuilding, winning the prestigious title of Mr. Belgium. His dedication to his physique became a symbol of his commitment to excellence, and it was clear that this man was willing to put in the work to become the best in whatever he did. This discipline would serve him well as he moved toward his next big challenge, Hollywood. In the early 1980s, Jean-Claude Van Damme made his way to Los Angeles with little more than hope and determination. He didn't arrive with a big budget or a network of connections. He had to fight for every opportunity. Like so many other aspiring actors, he took on small, uncredited roles and did whatever it took to make ends meet. At one point, he even worked as a taxi driver, all the while pursuing his dream of becoming a movie star. He spent countless nights sleeping in his car, unsure what the future held, but unwilling to give up. Van Damme's big break came when Bloodsport, a low-budget martial arts film, was finally released in 1988 after years of delay. Initially dismissed by studios and critics, the film went on to become a sleeper hit, grossing more than $50 million worldwide. Bloodsport wasn't just another action film. It was a turning point in Van Damme's career. The film showcases raw talent, his physicality, and his believable fighting style, grounded in years of genuine combat experience. This was no typical action hero. Van Damme was a real deal, and audiences quickly took notice. His authenticity on screen set him apart from many of his contemporaries, and he soon found himself at the forefront of a new wave of action stars. In the wake of Bloodsport, Van Damme's career skyrocketed. He went on to star in a string of successful films, including Kickboxer, Death Warrant, Universal Soldier, and Time Cop. With each new role, he became more entrenched in the fabric of action cinema. His ability to perform his own stunts and deliver convincing fight sequences earned him the respect of directors, producers, and fans alike. By the early 1990s, Jean-Claude Van Damme was not just a star, he was an institution. He was one of the most bankable action heroes of the decade, alongside stars like Arnold Schwarzenegger and Sylvester Stallone. Yet, even as his career reached new heights, the pressures of fame began to take their toll. The very qualities that made him successful, his ambition, intensity, and work ethic, also led to conflicts and personal struggles that threatened to undermine everything he had worked for. As the 1980s transitioned into the 1990s, Jean-Claude Van Damme's career continued to surge as he carved out his place among Hollywood's most successful action stars. Following the surprise success of Bloodsport, the doors to bigger, more lucrative projects swung wide open, and his rise to fame seemed unstoppable. His next project, Kickboxer, further solidified his reputation as a martial artist and leading man. In Kickboxer, Van Damme's character embarks on a personal vendetta to avenge his brother, and the film introduced some of the most iconic fight sequences in action film history. His signature splits and powerful kicks became trademarks, instantly recognizable to fans around the world. The film was a commercial success, grossing over $50 million globally, and Van Damme was no longer just a promising newcomer. He was a bona fide action star. The momentum that began with Bloodsport didn't slow down. Cyborg and Lionheart followed, each a modest production that demonstrated Van Damme's ability to lead films and generate box office success. In Death Warrant, he portrayed a cop who goes undercover in prison, and the film was another hit, further cementing his status in Hollywood. Yet, it wasn't until Universal Soldier, 1992, that Van Damme truly made a statement about his place at the top of the action genre. In Universal Soldier, Van Damme starred opposite Dolph Lundgren, another action powerhouse, in a science fiction action film that combined elements of military operations with high-octane martial arts. The movie became a massive success, both in the United States and internationally, grossing nearly $100 million worldwide. This film marked a turning point for Van Damme, confirming his status as one of the top action stars of the 1990s, alongside contemporaries like Bruce Willis, Schwarzenegger, and Stallone. It wasn't just the martial arts that made him stand out. It was his ability to bring depth and humanity to his characters. Van Damme's performances weren't just about physical prowess. There was always a certain emotional weight that made his characters relatable, even in the most outrageous situations. Yet, as his professional life soared, the cracks in his personal life began to widen. The fame that had brought him fortune also introduced pressures and temptations that began to erode the foundation of his relationships and his mental health. By the mid-1990s, Jean-Claude Van Damme's life was characterized by both dizzying success and escalating personal turmoil. On screen, he was a hero, immovable, perfect, and invincible. But behind the scenes, he was grappling with issues that were quickly spiraling out of control. The intense physical demands of his roles, coupled with the constant media scrutiny, took a toll on his body and his psyche. Reports began to surface of Van Damme arriving late to sets or behaving erratically. The star who had once been celebrated for his work ethic and discipline was now being labeled as difficult and temperamental. Colleagues and directors would sometimes describe him as a man with an oversized ego whose last-minute demands and constant need for creative control made him challenging to work with. The ambitious, driven individual who had fought tooth and nail to reach the top was now facing the overwhelming pressures of maintaining that position in a notoriously fickle industry. Off the set, the story was just as complicated. Van Damme had married a few times before, and his relationships had often been as tumultuous as his career. His first marriage, before his rise to fame, had ended quietly, but as his career took off, the strain of his growing fame, combined with his battles with substance abuse, put a tremendous amount of pressure on his second marriage to bodybuilder and fitness competitor Gladys Portugues. The couple had 2 children together, Christopher and Bianca, and for a time, their family seemed to be a solid foundation for Van Damme amidst the chaos of his career. However, by 1992, their marriage had unraveled. Van Damme's rising fame had brought with it a string of affairs, public outbursts, and an addiction to cocaine that would become one of the most damaging elements of his personal life. At the height of his fame, Van Damme was reportedly spending as much as $10,000 a week on cocaine, and his erratic behavior, marked by late-night parties, reckless decisions, and a volatile temper, became widely known. He openly admitted to infidelity, acknowledging that he had hurt the people closest to him, especially Gladys, whom he had married in 1987. Despite the public persona of the unstoppable action hero, Van Damme was struggling with demons that threatened to destroy everything he had built. By the time of their divorce, Van Damme had already remarried twice, but neither of those relationships lasted. His third marriage, to actress Darcy Lear in 1994, seemed like it might be the one that lasted. They had a son together. But once again, the pressures of fame and his ongoing battles with addiction and mental health issues would lead to another collapse. Affairs, drug use, and public scandals overshadowed what could have been a promising union. And by the late 1990s, they too had separated. Van Damme's professional success, though undeniable, came at an incredible personal cost. He had built an empire based on his physical abilities and his ability to dominate the action genre. But behind the scenes, his personal life was unraveling. In interviews, he would later admit that the combination of his stardom, addiction, and mental health struggles made it incredibly difficult to maintain meaningful relationships. His career was flourishing, but his personal life was anything but stable. Despite the external success, Jean-Claude Van Damme's personal journey had become a turbulent ride of highs and lows. At the height of his fame, he was a man torn between the expectations of Hollywood, his own personal demons, and the weight of maintaining a perfect public image. While he became an international icon, the pressures of fame, addiction, and divorce were taking a significant toll. The man who had once been the face of strength and invincibility on screen was now struggling with the very human challenges of addiction, loneliness, and a fractured personal life. His struggles were hidden behind the Hollywood glamour, but they were a significant part of his story, one that would shape the future of his career and personal life in ways that no one could have predicted. The turbulent road of relationships and personal struggles. Jean-Claude Van Damme's personal life has often been as dramatic as the action-packed scenes in his movies. While audiences around the world knew him as the iconic, martial arts-infused action hero, the man behind the muscles was fighting an entirely different battle off-screen. His journey through relationships, addiction, and mental health struggles was far from the Hollywood fairy tale many had imagined. One of the most striking aspects of Van Damme's personal life has been his turbulent relationships. Over the years, the actor has been married 5 times to 4 different women, and these unions have often mirrored the highs and lows of his career. Each of his marriages reflected different stages of his life, revealing both his ambition and his inner struggles. His first marriage, which occurred before his Hollywood breakthrough, was relatively quiet and ended without much public attention. However, the intense rise of fame that followed Bloodsport and Kickboxer brought with it pressures that began to strain his relationships. In 1987, Van Damme married Gladys Portugues, a professional bodybuilder and fitness competitor, and together they had 2 children, Christopher and Bianca. For a time, it seemed as though their marriage would be the stable foundation he needed amidst the chaos of his career. But the relentless demands of his rising fame, paired with his increasing reliance on substances like cocaine, put enormous stress on their relationship. By 1992, their marriage came to an end. In the years that followed, Van Damme's love life became even more complicated. He remarried twice, but both of those unions ended in divorce. His third marriage, to actress Darcy Lear in 1994, was particularly high profile at the time. The couple's son was born during this period. But once again, Van Damme's personal struggles began to cast a shadow over their relationship. Affairs, substance abuse, and outbursts of erratic behavior soon dominated the headlines, overshadowing any sense of normalcy in their life. The marriage ended by the late 1990s, and Van Damme found himself once again facing the consequences of his actions, both personally and professionally. While Van Damme's first 3 marriages were marked by intense public scrutiny and personal issues, it was his 4th marriage that would ultimately provide a glimpse of stability in his life. In 1999, he remarried Gladys Portugues, the woman he had once divorced. The remarriage was a significant moment for Van Damme, signaling a chance of redemption and reconciliation. For many fans and media observers, the reunion seemed improbable. After all, how could the same man who had caused so much pain in his previous marriages now find peace with the same woman? Yet, it was precisely this reconciliation that demonstrated Van Damme's deep-seated desire for stability and a sense of belonging. In later years, he would reflect on the time they spent apart, acknowledging how much he had taken Gladys for granted during their first marriage. He admitted that he had been blind to the love and support she had offered him, and it wasn't until their separation that he realized just how much he had lost. Their reunion, and their willingness to forgive each other, became a testament to the resilience of their relationship. Despite the years of pain and betrayal, Gladys remained a central figure in his life, providing him with a steady anchor as he navigated his turbulent career and personal demons. However, their remarriage was not without its challenges. Over the years, rumors about their relationship continued to surface, with some speculating that the couple was on the verge of another separation. Divorce filings in 2015 only fueled the speculation. Yet, even during these difficult moments, Van Damme and Gladys continued to express their love and respect for one another. While their relationship was far from perfect, it remained a symbol of their ability to weather personal storms together. Despite their continued love for one another, the pressures of fame and personal struggles remain a constant presence in their lives. Addiction, mental health issues, and the constant scrutiny of the media played a significant role in the ups and downs of their relationship. Van Damme's battle with cocaine addiction, which had spiraled out of control during the 1990s, was particularly damaging. He admitted that the drug use had caused significant harm to his relationships and his ability to maintain stability in his personal life. In his interviews, he would openly talk about the damage addiction had done both to his career and his family. But it wasn't just his addiction that caused strife. Van Damme also struggled with undiagnosed mental health issues, which would only add to the complexity of his personal life. In the late 1990s, he was diagnosed with bipolar disorder, a condition that explained the erratic highs and lows of his behavior. The diagnosis gave him some clarity about the periods of manic energy and creativity he would experience, followed by long bouts of depression and despair. Yet, even with the diagnosis, Van Damme found it difficult to maintain control over his mental health, and his mood swings continued to affect his relationships. During this period, Van Damme began seeking professional help, going through rehabilitation programs to address his addiction issues. However, sobriety proved to be an ongoing struggle. Despite his efforts, periods of relapse were frequent, and his personal life continued to be marked by instability. It wasn't until later in life that Van Damme began to speak openly about his mental health challenges and his addiction. He became more candid in interviews, acknowledging the toll that both had taken on his life and career. But through it all, Gladys remained by his side. Her loyalty and support were unwavering. Even during the darkest chapters of Van Damme's life, Van Damme frequently credited Gladys with helping him through the most difficult times, and he admitted that without her, he might not have been able to rebuild his life. Their relationship, though marked by struggles, was ultimately one of mutual respect and love. Gladys had forgiven him for his past mistakes, and together, they began to build a life that was more grounded in reality than the fleeting dreams of stardom. As Van Damme entered his 60s, the stability he had longed for began to take shape. Although their marriage had faced its share of challenges, it was clear that their bond was unbreakable. In 2025, the rumors of potential divorce resurfaced, but the couple continued to reaffirm their commitment to each other. Their relationship was no longer defined by the ups and downs of fame, addiction, and public scandal. Instead, it had become a story of survival, of two people who had weathered the storm and emerged stronger. Van Damme's public admission of his struggles with addiction and mental health, and his turbulent relationships, has allowed fans to see a different side of the action star. Rather than maintaining the stoic, invincible persona he once projected, he now spoke candidly about the flaws that had haunted him throughout his life. His transparency helped reshape the public narrative. Shifting the focus from scandal to survival, he became an advocate for mental health and addiction recovery, using his own experience to raise awareness about the challenges faced by many who live with similar struggles. The weight of personal demons, addiction, mental health, and the fight for survival. As Jean-Claude Van Damme's career soared in the 1980s and 1990s, his off-screen battles began to mirror the intense action sequences for which he was known. While the world celebrated his mastery of martial arts and his ability to perform death-defying stunts, behind the scenes, Van Damme was confronting a series of personal demons that threatened to derail everything he had worked for. At the height of his fame, when he was earning millions per movie, Van Damme was spiraling into addiction, dealing with undiagnosed mental health issues, and struggling to maintain control over his increasingly erratic behavior. The very success that catapulted him to international stardom became the backdrop for a private battle that no one could have anticipated. Addiction became one of the most destructive forces in Van Damme's life. As his career took off, so did his substance abuse. By the mid-1990s, it was reported that Van Damme had developed a serious cocaine addiction, which consumed large amounts of his income. In fact, he admitted to spending up to $10,000 a week on cocaine during his worst periods. The addiction fueled late-night parties, sleepless nights, and unpredictable behavior both on and off set. While his films continued to perform well at the box office, his personal life was unraveling in a way that few could have predicted for someone who had once been considered one of the most promising stars of Hollywood's action genre. Van Damme's addiction did not just affect his professional reputation. It deeply impacted his personal relationships. His marriage to Gladys Portugues, which had started out full of promise, began to deteriorate under the weight of his drug use. The pressures of fame and the constant temptation to indulge in excess contributed to the breakdown of their relationship. Despite their shared children and early success together, Van Damme himself admitted that his addiction played a huge role in his failed marriages and the strain placed on his family. As he became more consumed by the highs and lows of his substance abuse, his ability to maintain any semblance of normalcy in his personal life began to crumble. In addition to his addiction, Van Damme was also wrestling with undiagnosed mental health issues. For years, he struggled with mood swings, periods of extreme energy and creativity, followed by deep depression and hopelessness. At the time, he did not understand what was happening to him. His erratic behavior was often misinterpreted as volatility or ego, leading many to believe that he was simply another Hollywood star who had let fame go to his head. It wasn't until the late 1990s, after years of suffering, that Van Damme was formally diagnosed with bipolar disorder. Jean-Claude Van Damme's story reminds us that no matter how many times life knocks you down, you always have the power to rise again. Behind the fame, the muscles, and the iconic movie moments is a man who fought real battles, addiction, mental health struggles, and personal setbacks, and still found the strength to rebuild his life. His journey shows that growth is possible. Change is real, and it's never too late to take control of your story. If Van Damme can overcome the toughest challenges life threw at him, then so can you. stay strong, keep pushing forward, and remember, every setback is just the beginning of a new comeback.